So
And you said yes?
no, I don't think I'm going to go. It's too busy right now. I was going to go. I don't know. I haven't talked to her yet. I think she's coming home tomorrow. We'll see. I could take my laptop because we're going to stay at Coronado and just work by the pool, which is tempting, but we'll see. Maybe not. Okay. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Getting ready to record a show with Karla on her trip in January. All right. Here we go, everybody. Say hello. Welcome to episode 1873 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Hey, happy Monday to you. Thanks for dropping in. You know what you get here on Mondays. You get trip reports. We head down to Walt Disney World virtually to escape the Monday blues. And actually, I kind of look at it on the opposite direction. We're going to make this week awesome. This is the chance to really start the week off on the right foot, be super productive, just make it great. And no better thing to do than to talk about a Disney trip, right? I bet you have one on the horizon. Maybe it's on the books. Maybe it's like most of my trips. It's just in my head, but maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. We can all say it's going to happen today. So we're headed to New York City today, where I've never been, but want to go someday to see all the madness that a Midwesterner considers New York City. I would be lost. And they should, if I go, they should make a TV show out of Mike going to New York City. But regardless, we're going to have fun talking Disney. Karla's with us from said New York City. Happy Wednesday or Monday, Karla.
Mike, I have no idea what day of the week it is. Stuff is too crazy these days. So happy Disney Day.
That's right. It could be any day. That's a great thing about podcasting, right? Because, if you say good morning, somebody's listening at like 8 o'clock at night, or if you say, happy Monday, it's like I'm listening on Saturday evening. It's
right. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So whatever day you're listening to, it could be 5 years from now. Hey, happy whatever day. So anyway, we're going to be talking Disney. You headed down on a very special trip, and this was this past January. So recently. So before we jump into that trip, tell me your background. Why are you such a Disney fan? Did you grow up going to the parks? What leads you here?
So I would not consider myself to be a Disney family at all. I went a couple of times when I was small, and we lived in Georgia for 2 years. So we went once while we lived there. But what I realized recently, about a year ago, when my daughter kept seeing the commercials for Toy Story Land, and she's obsessed with Toy Story, and she kept asking my husband and I to take her, was that my father passed away when I was 5. And the only memory I have clearly of him was when he took me. And so I was like, okay, there's some parallels there. So I figured the magic doesn't last for that long. And Anna's about to turn 5. And I was like, let's do this. And I asked my husband if he would like to come and bring the baby. And he said, absolutely not. And I said, great, then I'm taking Anna, and it's going to be a mommy-daughter trip. And it was awesome.
That is awesome. Disney we talked about this. We talked about this for the whole, 13 years we've been doing the show, is that Disney knows how to work our emotions back home to make us want to connect with the destinations. And one of those things, I'm a dad who has a daughter who's 24. She's basically done with school, and, we're telling her to start adulting now. She's had her 2 years in the grad program and all that stuff. And then I got my 13-year-old daughter, and that one commercial, you kind of mentioned it, it has the dad and the daughter, and she's getting ready to go to school and says, they're only little for a little while. It's like, just that one sentence.
Yeah.
That's so true. And I think you're embracing that because you have that backstory. You're it's almost like it's time to pass on the experience that you had with your dad.
Yeah, absolutely. And I figured I got maybe 6 or 7 more years where she wants to hang out with me. And so, and also I work in a hospital. My husband works in a hospital. The past couple of months have been rough. She didn't really see either of us for quite some time. So I figured this was a good way to get some time back for us to connect. So yeah, it was great.
So you have the 2 younger kids, and let me just say though, hot tip, when you go to Walt Disney World, they don't want to hang out with you otherwise, but typically when you go to Walt Disney World, they'll tend to find time. Even when they're older. So
okay, that's good to know.
You won't, you won't be able to go to Taco Bell with them, but they'll be like, hey, we're going to Disney. Hey, do I have a plane ticket? Even when they're 22.
Yeah.
Typically how it works. Okay. So let's talk about this trip. Like you said, it was a mommy-daughter trip.
Mm-hmm.
Husband stayed home with the baby. Mm-hmm. So how do you prepare for that? Even before you, get down there, get on the plane. There's a lot of logistics to, you're taking one kid staying home with dad. How'd you plan all that out?
I did a lot of listening to your old podcasts and in DFB videos and using a trip planner for or touring plans for their calendar. And I figured that we as New Yorkers are used to cold. So I was like, well, let's go. And no one else wants to go to Florida, which would be the end of January, because that's like the cold time. But to us, that's nothing. And then the volume didn't look to be very high. And I was like, let's capitalize on low crowds and just kind of go for it. And then logistically, I am a bit of a control freak. So I wanted to control our schedule. And since Magic Kingdom was our priority, I decided to have a stay at Contemporary, and I justified that in my head because I didn't have to buy a ticket for my husband, so I could use that money to buy me a Contemporary hotel room. Also, there were some great deals and things I learned about from listening to the pod, that they had the 30% discounts while we were down there, and that certainly helped, push things along.
I love that Disney math though. You're like, you're not going to save money. You're just going to reallocate the money in a different way, which is exactly what I do. Like if I book something at rack rate because I book early and then it's like, oh, I got a discount, instead of taking that money and putting it in my pocket, I'm like, okay, well, now we're not staying at a value anymore. We're going to a moderate.
Exactly. Right. I'm glad we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the same thing. I like that. So, okay. So let's just say that your daughter was 4.5 at the time that you went down with her.
Yep.
So she's really at that age where she gets it, right? I mean, but this was her first time, correct?
Totally her first time. She was convinced that the princesses lived in the castle. She kept saying Disneyland, and I had to explain to her that it was Disney World. And then we said, well, her favorite princess is Aurora. And we said, Aurora's castle's closed right now. So Cinderella invited her to come live with her. Nice. So that Cinderella and Aurora were living together right now. And she thought that was wonderful. And yeah, so we did 5 days. We flew down Monday and came back Friday. And mostly because none of us have taken vacations in a year. So we all have 1,000 vacation days we can't do anything with. And I figured let's just avoid the weekend crowds and go down. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense too, because I like that you stayed in Contemporary. So, and she again is at that age where I'm sure she had these expectations of, what she's seen on TV, because, the commercials are basically all at that point. So you stay at the Contemporary. What was Arrival like? I mean, I guess you guys flew down even. Was that her first time on a plane? I mean, it was the whole...
Oh, no. Kids have fun forever.
Okay,
yeah.
She's more traveled than me.
Flying down was great. She was even entertained by the Magical Express. Getting to the hotel was easy. Her one complaint about our Contemporary room was that it did not come with toys. So lesson learned. Also, Disney, get your act together and put Disney Plus in all the hotel rooms, because that would have been helpful. Still don't get that. But we had a beautiful room, and it overlooked the pool. And I unpacked quickly, and then we went downstairs and grabbed lunch from Contempo Cafe. And to this day, she still tells me that the best food at Disney was the monorail cupcake, because it was literally the size of her head. Right. It took us 3 days to eat it. So that's all she talks about. And I'm like, great. This time, if we go back, all I'm doing is getting you Disney cupcakes, and that's going to be your meals.
I will say, tell Anna, I ran a marathon, 26 miles one year. And then the next day I had one of those cupcakes. Didn't take 3 days.
Oh,
took about 3 minutes, but I was.
She's little. She's a very small, almost 5-year-old.
She's exactly right. That's one of the best foods down there. She is exactly right.
It was great. And then we went over to the horses at Fort Wilderness, and she just had a blast. To this day, she can still pick out Gaston's horse, because he was the one. His name is Charlie, I believe now. And we had the longest conversation with his horse, and we got to see the new baby pony that was born. It was baby Obi, was one of the Cinderella ponies. And she got to ride a horse, which to a New York City kid is a big deal. So it was the perfect first day activity, and it cost $8. So thank you, Ricky, for telling me about this one. Because it's not advertised, but if you hear these things on the pod and you take notes, then you know what to do. And then we went back. We played in the pool. The pool at the Contemporary is nothing fancy, but it had a slide. She loved it. We got clean. And then we went, she got to dress up in her Belle fancy dress, and we went to the Grand Floridian for dinner. And that was interesting because for something so fancy, and then everything is so spaced out, it felt a little creepy sometimes because there was nobody around us. But the food was great. I had the fried chicken, which was awesome. But now that I'm not a 21-year-old, I realized I can't eat like that the whole time. So I had like that meal and I was like, oh, we need to stick to salads or like Dole Whip the rest of this trip. Um, but that poor girl, I worked her so hard her first day. She fell asleep on the monorail going home. She's like, I'm not tired. Clunk. So it was
Yeah.
a sign of good things to come for that just
See
first
that?
day.
I love seeing that on the buses, right? Like, the kid, going back to Pop Century, it takes 20 minutes to get back after a day at the Magic Kingdom. Like, I'm not.
Uh-huh.
That's like a good. That kid was screaming for 15 minutes. I'm glad he fell asleep. Thank God.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I love this because I'm looking at your plan. Like arrival day, I think is so crucial to get the trip off in the right foot. And there's that huge temptation to like rush right in. Like you get there and like, oh my, especially at the Contemporary, right? I mean, Space Mountain is right there. I mean, literally you could almost throw a baseball and hit Space Mountain out of the Contemporary, and you see the castle, you can hear the train. Well, the train's not running right now, but you can hear sounds,
Mm-hmm.
Magic Kingdom. And it's tempting, but the way you eased into it, you enjoyed the pool. You went over to another resort and had dinner. You did a very unique thing in riding horses that was nearby. I mean, that is really vacation. And what it is, it sets you up for, you're not wearing yourself totally out day one. And then the next day on Tuesday, you guys really hit the ground running and got to go over there, and I
Yeah.
love that plan because I think too many people try to go at it too soon, right? You got to ease your way into vacation.
Uh, yeah, especially because she thought of Disney World as a full contact sport. So we did Magic Kingdom on Monday, and I think I counted at one point we did like 17 rides on the first day. What was interesting about this trip was initially it was just Anna and I, and then a couple months before, my sister said, "Hey, do you mind if we go at the same time?" And traveling with family can be interesting because family, right?
Oh yeah,
But
been there.
uh, but she has a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and my kids haven't seen their cousins in a year. And I was like, okay, maybe it would be fun for the cousins to get to go to Disney World together. So they joined us on Tuesday night, so that we did park Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with them. So Monday was like my real special mommy Anna day, and so I had to throw Be Our Guest and Cinderella's Royal Table on the same day, which was a little crazy, but I didn't like, her kids just didn't want to do that. And I said, fine, if we're going to have this experience, let's do it. Um, so we did Cinderella's Royal Table for lunch and Be Our Guest for dinner. And I think if I was going to do it again, I would do Cinderella's Royal Table, but not Be Our Guest. And just because for her, like the food was better, like one over the other, the experience was better. And that's fine. I don't think I would ever tell someone to do both in the same day, but because of our circumstances, I had to do it. Um, but she was so starstruck when she saw Cinderella. It was like, oh my goodness. And Cinderella came over and talked to her because she was wearing the Cinderella dress, and it was really cute to see like how into the magic she was. I don't think I realized how much she would believe the magic. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I saw that on the notes, and I'm thinking, wow, Be Our Guest and Cinderella Royal Table in the same day, like the first day you go to the Magic Kingdom. But I mean, it's right. I think a lot of people think of these things as just it's a meal. When you boil it down to it, it's food, it's nourishment, but it's an experience, right? I mean, your daughter got to meet Cinderella in Cinderella Castle. That whenever she watches a Disney movie, you'll see the castle at the beginning, the
Uh-huh.
silhouette, and she'll have that association now, right? And
Yeah.
also Be Our Guest. I mean, if she's a fan of Beauty and the Beast, like, oh, I've been there. I've been in the castle now, and I had dinner there. And I think that it is more than the food, and they are expensive propositions. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
doubt. I mean, they are. But the thing is, what's a memory worth? And this is a chance to make that memory with your daughter. That's really cool.
Yeah. And again, it's something that you can do when it's only two of you
Yeah,
versus like a
exactly.
huge family, right? Like there's a big cost differential there. So it was totally worth it for the experience. And we got to walk out of the park when it was completely empty. And that was fun, just to like have the experience of like everything else being empty in Fantasyland, and kind of like walking slowly through and taking those pictures. Though those pictures like in front of the castle walking out, like she's just done. The girl was utterly worn out. And I was like, oh Lord, we're only on day one of parks. We got 3 more to go.
Trust me,
Um,
been there myself. I'm there. I'm there physically. I'm not there mentally. I'm gone.
yeah.
We all have been.
So we did. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. She's a huge Toy Story fan. So we compromised, and she had a Toy Story and a Star Wars dress for Hollywood Studios. So we did that. And what I learned about Hollywood studios is you need to have very explicit conversations with whoever you're traveling with about what time they must be awake. Because I knocked on my sister's door at 6:45 and they were sound asleep.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
I was like,
I said this on the show so many times. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. Like, I'd
yes,
rather be an hour early than 2 minutes late. This just might because there's bad things happen. Yes, I feel I feel your pain right now. I get it. You said that, I'm like, oh no, oh no.
yeah. So the good news was like because we can do the boarding pass in the room, like it worked out okay. And I had like watched all the videos and listened to all the things and just click, click, click. So my sister has the countdown timer going for the world clock, and I like keep refreshing and I hit it.
It should
And
not be this hard. Like, I'm serious. Every
but
time, I've done it too. I do the exact same thing, but every time I have somebody on here talking about this, I just keep telling myself, it's an experience at a theme park. It should not be this like it's not this hard to pay your taxes. It's not this hard to get a driver's license, but dude, to get on Rise of the Resistance, you got to have like a doctorate degree. I'm not kidding. In like the luck of the Irish.
yeah, well, I have both, and I still like it was still stressful. But so I got it, but I did it so fast that then my sister's like, "Did we get one?" And I was like, "I don't actually know." And I had to go back and look, and we got boarding group 1, which is great. But also, but then like so what I figured out was 1 is not always a blessing because yes, like don't complain about like getting it, but you can't take too much advantage of getting into the park early because you have to go to Rise and then so then we had to wait for almost an hour for a bus from Contemporary, which was probably the most stressful part of my day. Oh, yeah. And I have learned not to wait on the buses again on days like that I'm like, I need to go because we were ready to roll. And then the bus took an hour. But so it's a walk on at Rise. It was phenomenal. And my sister's husband and their 2-year-old like stayed while we went on. And then her husband was going to go and her 4-year-old didn't want to go again. So Anna's like, yo, I'm in. So Anna got to go on Rise twice before like 9:20 in the morning. And I was like, who does this? Like this kid.
I've only been on it 3 times in my life and 3 different trips.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so and then as soon as she came off, she was like, can I go again? And I was like, you went twice. Stop. Like, we're good. We had reservations at Oga's. We were like, okay, we have like 45 minutes to kill. And then because I'm crazy, I was like, hey, I think we can actually make it on Smugglers Run at this time. So we like run the Smugglers Run, and we have 2 4-year-olds, like 2 very small 4-year-olds. But they're both tall enough to go on, obviously, Rise, so Smugglers Run. And so they were like, the 4-year-olds want to be the pilots, which was the worst thing ever to ask.
Mallory and I were pilots, and I got so motion sick because I'm so bad at flying the Millennium Falcon, and so is she. Like, I was done for like another 2 days when I was down there with Scott this summer. It was bad. So I can imagine with 2 4-year-olds.
Yeah, there's a reason Anakin was 8.
He had the Force though.
Yeah, my kid did not. So it was a rough experience, but they had so much fun. And part of it is like, they really thought they were flying. So we were like, okay, it was super fun. And then we went to Oga's, and I don't think I would ever recommend doing Oga's with 3 little ones under 5. But they were entertained. By the way, hack is get 1 drink for them and split it 3 ways, but they thought it was great. And then we went off and we did Slinky Dog. We got some pixie dust there because it was her cousin's first roller coaster. So we came off and both kids were chanting, again, again. And a cast member walked over and she's like, you want to go again? And they were like, yeah. And we were like, oh, Lordy. Okay. So we got to go back on. So we did that twice. But then I learned the hard way about not promising your kid something that you can't deliver on, because I let her see the menu for Woody's lunchbox beforehand, and she really wanted that raspberry pastry, and they didn't make it anymore, and I am still hearing about it today.
I was at the media event for that thing. Just get a Pop-Tart. It's basically the same thing.
Okay, yeah. So we ended up having lunch at the ABC commissary, which, it wasn't anything spectacular, but I think I was just so overwhelmed by like the adrenaline from the morning that I didn't know what we were doing.
But wait, she eats the day before. It's Cinderella's roll table and be our guest.
Yeah.
And the next day you're going to make her eat at the commissary. She's probably like, what is this? You trying to kill me?
A little bit. Yeah. A little bit. I made up for it later by letting her have a Mickey bar for dinner.
Yeah, no, there you go. That's always a win.
Yeah, that was easier. The one like kind of traumatic thing that happened was we were in line for Minnie's Runaway Railway, and warning to other parents of like tiny humans. The stanchions for the line are just 41 inches, which is exactly how tall she was. And she kind of turned quickly and it whacked her in the head so hard that like she got this giant goose egg right away.
God.
And I was like, oh crap. And so she's sobbing and I'm alone. So I'm holding her and trying to find ice. And finally a cast member comes over and I was like, I just need to get some ice because I've selfishly been in line for 20 minutes and I don't want to get out of line. And she's like, I can't give you any ice. I can take you to first aid. I was like, I work in a hospital. I don't need first aid. I just need some ice to put on this kid. And she said, let me be clear. Either the paramedics are coming or you're going to first aid. I was like, I guess we're going to first aid.
I get why. I mean, I understand the whole thing.
I know. It's a liability thing. And I get it. And I was like,
happened to Mallory at Beaches and Cream one night, right? The night before we left for the podcast cruise. It was a nightmare.
Oh, God. Okay. So you get it.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I really don't want to wait in line again. And she's like, you won't. And I was like, oh, all right. Well, then fine. So we like, go. Anna gets checked out. She's fine. They give her drugs. They give her some ice pack. They walked us on to Mickey and Minnie's, and it was fine. The only like repercussion was then we came off, and she's like, "Can I go back on Slinky Dog?" And I was like, "You just had head trauma. I'm not letting you go back on Slinky Dog."
Yeah.
So, right. I was like, "Can we chill for?" And she's like, "Great. Can we go back on Smugglers Run?" I was like, "Sure. Why not?" We walk over and. What's cool about Hollywood Studios, and I'm looking forward to going back, is it seems like in the afternoon, it really empties out back in Galaxy's Edge. There's nobody back there then. So Kylo Ren was out and he tried to recruit her. I think I sent you the video of like him having a whole conversation and trying to like get her to be on the dark side. And then Rey and Chewie were out and they were talking with her because Anna was wearing the same Rey dress. And like, that was really like, she still talks about, oh, I met Rey. Like I see the videos and she's like, yeah, I know her. And I was like, of course you do.
We're BFFs.
Right? Like totally. And so that was really fun just to get to have those experiences when it was quieter in the back that she still talks. Like, I don't think she could tell you about Smugglers Run, but she can tell you meeting Rey. So
and that's a great lesson to be, said. And, we say it all the time on these, especially Monday shows where guests come on and really share their experiences. And the kids aren't going to remember, the big things that you assume they will. They're going to remember swimming. They're going to remember some random snack and some random souvenir that was probably $3 when they got a souvenir that was probably 80, but they'll remember like the pencil topper or something. And they're going to remember basically like a unique experience with somebody that they might've seen on TV in a movie. Mm-hmm. That's it. I mean, I'm not saying meeting Rey and Chewie and Kylo Ren is free, but it's really not something that a lot of folks have like, okay, we got to get these 8 things checked off on my list. It's like a passing experience many times is like the highlight of the trip, like you said.
Right. Absolutely. And then the best thing that we did was learning to take it slow. We had a reservation at TRex for Disney Springs that night, and I had not been excited about going, but I was going along with it. And then my sister and I decided pretty early on in the trip, let's just cancel this and take the kids back and let them play at the pool. And they had the best time. And even though it was like January 26th, it was still, it was cool, but the water was warm enough and the kids had a great time. And that way we didn't have to bathe them that night. We just threw them in the pool. We're like, there's enough chlorine. You're clean. You're fine.
The old marathon weekend shower. There you go. Yep.
Worked just great.
You said Ricky recommended something earlier, the horses earlier, but I guarantee you she did not recommend T-Rex because she has a strange paranoia of dinosaurs. So,
yeah. Well, I've heard that the food was not good, but it was like the one thing that my nephew wanted to do. And I was like, okay, fine. Like I'll go along with it. And then thank God we canceled that because we just mobile ordered from the Wave and the kids had a great time.
You missed out Paradiso 37 at Disney's. I've never been there, but everybody keeps taunting me about it in our travel agent group. So I got to get there. But I've been in T-Rex and it's awesome looking inside. I've never had the food. I just toured it on a media thing again around there. And because I've never been in a rainforest cafe before that either. Everybody talks about we have those in our malls, like we don't have a rainforest cafe in St. Louis. And, the menu was crazy. I mean, the menu was like a telephone book. So I wouldn't know what to order. And T-Rex and I think Rainforest are the same thing, just different themes from what I was told.
Yeah, it probably would have been too overwhelming. Like the whole day was overwhelming. And I think, that would have been a good like non-park day activity. But then on Thursday, we had breakfast at Chef Mickey's. And we mostly did Chef Mickey's because we felt like it was mean to take the kids to the Contemporary and let them see the Mickey down there, but not actually let them go.
Right, like you can just look at them. You see them? Wait.
Right. And it was fine. Like the food was great. The characters were lovely. Do I think it was worth the amount of money that we spent? Like, nah. We went to Topolino's the next day, so like I would do Topolino's before we did Chef Mickey's again. But also I realized like I probably didn't need the experience. I think my daughter really liked it, but also we were antsy to get into the park. So as soon as we were done, then my sister's crew was like, "We're gonna go back upstairs," and we were like, "Bye, we'll see you there. We're booking it." And it's funny because my daughter, I did not know was such a thrill seeker, but after the first day, when she was like, again, more roller coasters, we got into the park and it was maybe 8:30. And because we weren't there right when the gates opened because Chef Mickey's. Mm-hmm. And so we get past close to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And she's like, "Mama, take me to my train," which is not Mine Train.
Big Thunder.
Big Thunder.
Yeah.
So we like take off running. And then like I have video of going, into that part of the park. There's nobody there. So we did that twice and then came off. Splash Mountain opened. And then as we came off Splash Mountain, my sister and her crew rolled up and we go back on Big Thunder. So like it's 10, not even 10 o'clock. And we've done 4 roller coasters. And I was like, oh Lord, it's that kind of day. Let's go.
But what a way to start the day. Chef Mickey's and a couple roller coasters and Splash Mountain. I mean, that's in itself right there.
And then, we did some of the quiet things, but the really fun part for Anna was we sat out over by Country Bears. There's like some big planter blocks. And so we chilled there, like popped a squat, and we mobile ordered from Pecos Bills. And we got we had the perfect view for the cavalcades because it's like up higher so the kids could stand up there. And we saw one of the princess cavalcades go down, and Anna's favorite princess is Aurora. And of all the princesses, Aurora was not there. And she looks at me and she's like, "What the hell, Mama? Like, where's my princess?" And I was like, I don't know, sweetheart. Like, I know she's around here somewhere. So, and then she was dressed up as Aurora that day. I was dressed up as Jasmine because obviously if your daughter's going to dress up, you have to dress up with her. And then I saw Jasmine on the cavalcade and she waved to me and I was very excited. Like for being 40 years old, I was way too excited about this experience.
That's why we go. I've run 10K as a Buzz Lightyear. I mean, it's what you do.
Right. Like, okay. So then later on, she and I were she wanted to go on the carousel because horses. And a cast member came up and said, "Good afternoon, princess. Have you seen the other Aurora?" And we went, "Excuse me, what?" And they said, "Aurora's right over there," to like the fairy tale hall. And we like take off like marathoners, like jumping over like strollers to get there.
Sorry.
Right. And Aurora's just about to walk in. And I have been an event manager and managed things at hospitals, so I'm very good at projecting. And I said, "Aurora, you're her favorite." And she turned around and she's like, "Oh, you're so sweet." And then like walked inside. And cue Anna just being like, "What happened?" And so I looked at one of the cast members and I said, "Please tell me when she's coming back out." And they're like, "Oh, we can't do that. We're trying not to have crowds." And I said, "Look at me. Look at her. She's wearing Aurora's dress. Tell me what time she's coming back." And they're like, "Hold on." And then like someone like walked by and whispered in my ear, "4:05, be here." And I was like, "Thank you." And so we came back and they recognized Anna because she was sitting there quietly. And they came up and they said, "Princess Aurora is going to come out soon. She'd like to know what her friend's name is and how old she is." And so we did that. And then she came right out and came up to Anna. And Anna, we had to practice because she was so shell-shocked when she saw Cinderella. I said, "If you want to talk with Aurora, you have to have a conversation. You have to ask her something so she'll keep talking to you." So her question was, "Why weren't you on the cavalcade earlier?"
Oh, no. I was? Oh, man.
And she was like, "Because I was here meeting my friends."
Oh,
which is a very good answer.
Absolutely.
But I have some great pictures of them because Anna was wearing like the exact same dress and she was lovely. And to this day, Anna likes to show me her picture with Cinderella. And then we got the kids bubble wands, and they spent like an hour dancing in the shadow of the castle with bubble wands, which, as you said, sometimes it's like the little souvenir that they remember.
That's totally it. Now, after that, it looks like you guys had dinner at the Plaza, which is one of my. I love this place. I love. Here's the sad thing. I love this place, and I rarely go because I always forget that it's there. But it's just so cute. You know, it's small. It's got great meatloaf. I'm a big meatloaf fan. But and not the music, but the dinner dish. But yeah, I love this place. Did you guys like it? I mean, it sounded like you had a full day. I mean, you guys were really busy.
We did, but I think we needed we planned that to have a dedicated time where we could sit down. And initially we had thought that we would go back to the hotel and take naps, and then the kids just really weren't into it, and that was fine. But I had always said, let's make sure we have a reason to go back to the park after nap time. But the food was great. All the kids found something they liked. Even Anna, who's pretty picky, was just fine. It was nice to see the castle at dusk. I think it was 5 p.m. that we had dinner. And then it was good to have a little bit of a rally. And then we're like, okay, now let's sprint over to Aloha Isle, get some Dole Whip, and do more rides.
Yes.
Yeah, we totally did that. And I think by the time we went on Mine Train afterwards, it was ride number 17. And she's just like, Mama, I'm done. I can't do anymore.
That's a series kind of tired right there. That's a lot. That is a lot to do in a day.
Yeah. It was good times.
You guys, I like how you put in the notes real quick. I just want to bring this up because sure. I mean, I think we've all been there. And when you're at home, it sounds like such a world tragedy. Not really, but it sounds like so terrible to actually say it out loud. You put in the notes that you were so tired leaving the Magic Kingdom that day that you could not ride Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, even though it was a walk-on. And I think we've all been there, right? I mean, you're walking out and you're like, oh man, I'm going through Adventureland to get out of here, and Pirates is a walk-on, but I can't go through that queue. It's too long. I can't go into the cave, and it's we've all been there, but it's when you're at home, you're like, what are you thinking? Go on the ride. I get it.
We were so tired. We took the monorail back to the Contemporary. We literally, it's not that far a walk. It's a 5-minute walk, but we were just we can't do it. We can't push these strollers anymore. So
you had to conquer the monorail hill though. I mean, that's the one thing, at least it's flat going back to the Contemporary, a little longer, but that hill at the end of the night going up that ramp to the resort monorail, that's no joke. I've been walking that thing what am I doing?
Yeah. My feet were hurting that day. And then initially we weren't going to go to a park on Friday. And I had serious FOMO because my husband said, you understand this is your one trip. Oops, the joke is on him. But we added on an Epcot day at the end so that Anna and I could go to Topolino's for breakfast, which was phenomenal and worth every penny. And I recommend everyone go if they get the opportunity. Except that she filled up on the little mini pastries before her breakfast came, which is very much like a 4-year-old will do.
That's like me. It's like me, boy. If I go to a Mexican restaurant, I eat all the chips. Yeah. Same thing.
But she is Team Daisy. And so she was very excited because at Chef Mickey's, there was not Daisy. And at Topolino's, there was Daisy. And she was like, aha, I found my girl. So that was fun for her. And then we rode the Skyliner over to, we actually rode Skyliner the wrong way because I am directionally challenged. So I accidentally rode it towards Caribbean Beach. Which was,
that'd be taking you to Pop Century.
Yeah, it's okay. It was at least fun to ride it even longer. She was so tired that she fell asleep in the stroller waiting to get back on. So I was like, it is 9 a.m. and this child is sound asleep. I might have worn her out. But we made it to Epcot just as my sister got there, and we were literally the 4th people in the door. Did not realize that these kids are such thrill seekers. Went straight on to Test Track, and that was great. And then we got to go over to Norway, and I think it wasn't even 11 a.m. yet, and Anna was out, and my Anna was dressed like Anna that day, so it was very cool for her to get to have a conversation with Anna before anyone else was really around, because no one even noticed that she was out outside of her little house. So we did Frozen Ever After a couple times, and then saw Elsa, and then We chilled, and the mommies went and got margaritas in Mexico, as mommies are supposed to do. After
Oh, you said you were the only ones in the Mexico pavilion there for a little bit. I mean,
yeah,
that's a dream. You know, I have some Disney dreams, and that's one.
it, because no one went. I don't understand where everyone was. Maybe because we beat everyone over to Test Track because that was a walk on for us. But like, there was nobody there, and it was a little bit creepy, but also awesome.
Yes.
And and then later on in the day we saw all the people like waiting to get in, but it was really fun. I feel like in retrospect, maybe I shouldn't have tried to do quite so much because we tried to just shove so many things into that last day that I don't know if I really enjoyed it. And I think this kind of goes back to like it is okay to just have a chill day. Like maybe we should have just done horses and pool again. But Anna liked getting to see all the different things. She really liked Spaceship Earth, which is not something that I would have ever have thought she'd like, but she was really into it and had asked, "Can we go back on the slow big circle ride?" And I was like, "Yes, we can do that if that's what you'd like. We can take your sister on that one."
Yeah, and you know what? After you have a margarita, that's a great ride as long as you keep yourself awake. You know, like
Yeah.
that's the problem. You know, it's like, oh, it's so comfortable. You know, it's actually not comfortable. You're just sitting down and it's dark and cool. January, you don't have to worry so much about it because it's not that hot. But yeah, no, that you're right. That was a busy day, but I think we all get that kind of. It's hard to do the relaxed chill day at the end of the trip, right? Because I think if you're going to do it, you have to commit to it and kind of do it mid trip.
Mm-hmm.
As we start getting, you mentioned FOMO earlier, right? And I think FOMO starts adding up. Like, okay, all Disney fans, I think we do that calculation. I have 36 hours till I get on the plane. I have 20. This time tomorrow I'll be getting on Magical Express. And oh my gosh, today I get up. I'm at the park at 9 a.m. I've only got till 3, and then I got to get back to the hotel, grab my bags, and we're out of here. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to do that at the end, and I get where you're coming. Now, you also mentioned that you guys had lunch at Via Napoli pizza place. The kids everybody like it, or what'd you think?
Everyone loved it. I think we got like one of all of the kids' dishes. We had like a pizza, a pasta, a chicken, and between the 3 kids, like there was no leftovers at all. Like the kids inhaled it, which was great. We got a pizza, and I think mommy's got some wine, and that was also fantastic. Which don't maybe mix wine and margaritas when you're with a bunch of tiny humans, but no, that was fantastic. And the other thing that was going on was Festival of the Arts, and Anna has told me like her spark, because she really liked Soul, her spark and passion is wanting to be an artist when she grows up. So we got to do a couple of like little interactive art things, and that was really fun. And they had like a spin like bike paint thing that she got like make the art.
Super cool.
Yeah, and so that's like framed up in her room, and so that's kind of a fun like souvenir that she got. That was we didn't have to buy anything other than the experience for her. So that was a good time. But Jesus, by the time we were done, I think I looked and I averaged 12 miles a day. So in 4 days, I was like, I did more than a marathon.
Yeah, it's a shame you didn't get a medal on the way out. When I do 13 miles in a day at Walt Disney World, I get a shirt and a medal.
No, I did not. I got really sore feet, and I was wearing great sneakers too.
Okay, so we have lessons from this trip, right? And I want you to give us like one more thing that could help out a listener. But I will say the lesson that I have learned from listening to you today, that when your husband doesn't go on the vacation, it ends up costing a lot more. It sounds like you better go. I think if he went, it would have saved him money. I'm just guessing. I'm doing a little, dad math here in my head. I'm just saying because, a couple things got upgraded here and there. So, Dad, you better go next time. No, I'm just joking with you. So, what'd you learn though? I mean, what's something that would help folks that are going kind of, because mommy daughter trips sound like they're a lot of fun.
They are. The best thing that I did was I made a list before I ever left New York of what I needed in my park day every day. And the first thing I did when we got back to our room was I packed my park day bag for the next day. And that avoided like forgetting anything. And it was always like, it was by the door and I didn't have to worry because, multiple people have talked about, oh, I forgot my charger or whatever. Having that, just knowing that all I had to do was get us dressed and grab my bag that was already hanging next to the door was like the best thing. It took away all the stress.
Yeah. We talk about, you got to have a plan, right? But I mean, planning goes beyond the like mental, okay, we want to do this at this time, or having spreadsheets. It's even small things like, making is the dad. This is like my role every night. And sometimes half the time they don't listen, right? Because 2 girls and they But the thing, I'm always saying, is your stuff plugged in? Like, do you have your iPad? Do you have your phone plugged in? Do you have, because I give them all an external battery. Do you have your external battery plugged in? Because you're probably going to want that at about 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. If you don't plug it in tonight, you're carrying around a dead brick. What's the point? So it's one of those things that just a little bit of prep the night before, it avoids that chaos the next morning. And you're thinking, I'm getting up at Walt Disney World. It's not chaotic. It's awesome. Like, it's Tuesday morning. I'm waking up at Pop Century or what have you. It's great. But I mean, even though it is great, you got to get to that bus. And if you can make it smooth, if you can lay out a breakfast or have the kids' outfits ready. I know some people pack like their kids' outfits in like big Ziploc bags for each day, stuff like that. I mean, so just any of that stuff that you can do pre-trip or even, like you said, the night before, rolling through the trip, God, it's mentally keeps you happy. It's just less stress on you.
I actually had every outfit for us with I pinned on like a note card for every single day, and it was like hanging in the closet. So every day was I just had to take the 2 hooks out, and it was like done. Please steal that idea, Corwin. It was, that made it really easy because you're so tired by like day 3, you're so tired that trying to think of what you need in the morning, it doesn't work. So writing it down before I ever left New York was like super helpful.
And it's kind of fun too. It gets you really excited for the trip.
That
kind of stuff gets you pumped. Okay, so you mentioned you have a trip coming up. So when you guys heading back, and what's on the agenda?
Yeah, we're gonna blame Scotty G for this because he mentioned one day that like on President's Day weekend, he was like, "Oh, I wonder what would happen if we just went down spontaneously." And I was like, "That's crazy. Who does that?" And then I kept thinking about it, and then you kept mentioning the sales. So we're going down May 2nd through the 5th. And again, I asked my husband if he wanted to come because my 2-year-old, so Anna brought home her little sister a Mickey, like a plush Mickey that she's obsessed with. And now she's super in love with Mickey. And I said, well, you're free under 3. So I guess I'm taking you too. And since my husband said no, a good friend of mine is coming with us. And I was like, you take the big one on the roller coasters and I will take the little one on like Small World or like things we didn't get to do, like the Country Bears and the Tiki Room and all those things that I remember going with my father that I didn't get to go with Anna's trip. I was like, I can do those slower things with the baby, and that would be really fun. So we're staying at Pop. We have like 1 ADR every day as like a lunch break. But I was like, I can watch me do this, like no frills. We had all these airline points that were going to expire from canceled trips. So I was like, let's take advantage and go. And I feel like early May is not the worst time to go to Florida. It's going to be hotter, but
you know what though? I'll be there those exact same days as a daddy-daughter trip with Mallory because her cheer competition is that weekend prior and it ends Sunday. And I said, because her cheerleading squad, they've done this twice. They've qualified for the Nationals and down at Walt Disney World, and they stay off-site. They stay at Disney Springs. It kills me. So, we're going to stay at Coronado Springs for a few days.
Fancy.
I can't do it without staying at least a couple nights down on property. So I got a good deal over there. So yeah, maybe we'll run into you. We'll have to say, hey,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, for us.
Yeah. So I'm trying to take advantage of this. My husband has said we'll go as a family in 2023, and I was like, as long as it's January, so I still get the 50th like experience. Yeah. But I was just like, let's just go with it. Anna hasn't started kindergarten yet, so it's not like it matters if she's missing a couple days of pre-K. Like they don't care. And we're gonna have a really good time.
Well, that's cool
days and yeah.
Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to start the week with us this way. It was great. And January, not a bad time to escape, I'm sure, the Northeast and head down to Florida. No matter how bad it is down in Florida, it's probably not as bad as New York City in January. So
absolutely. I recommend anyone going that week. It was fantastic. Actually, don't go so that no one else is there when I want to go back that week.
Exactly right. No, don't go. It's terrible. No. All right. Again, I appreciate the time.
Thanks, Mike. Good talking to you. Bye-bye.
Don't forget, today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less travel. Check them out today over at themagicforless.com. We'd sure love to help you plan that next Walt Disney World, Disneyland when the time comes, Disney Cruise Line vacation, and of course, Adventures by Disney as well. If you didn't hear last week, all the Disney cruises for summer of 2022 are available for everybody now. Those ships are going all over the place. Greek Isles cruises next the summer of 2022. We don't know about the Wish yet. Actually, we probably will, since I said that now between the time we recorded and the podcast comes out. But we don't know about the Wish when I'm recording right now, but we have all kinds of amazing itineraries, Caribbean, Bahamas. You have it, get out there at Disney Cruise Line. It's awesome. So check them out over at the Magic for Less. Fill out that quote form and we'll take great care of you. TheMagicForLess.com. Free way to support the show. BeOurGuestPodcast.com/Amazon. And a huge shout out to our patrons. You're allowing us to put together 4 shows on the feed every week, plus a live show every Sunday with hashtag Scotty G. All right. Don't forget, you can follow us if you want to be a patron. I forgot about that. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. You know that. I say it all the time. We're on Instagram and Twitter at Be Our Guest Mike and at Be Our Guest Pod. And of course, you can check us out on Facebook and YouTube if you want to see the videos. And then, most importantly, we want you to be with us every Sunday night. Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. It's the BOGP open line. We take your calls. We talk about the news of the week and whatever's on your mind. We just talk Disney. Just open up the phone lines, take calls, and have a good time. So join us this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central on Facebook or YouTube. All right, time to get out of here and let you get on with your week. We appreciate you dropping in. So for Kayla, I'm Mike, wishing you a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Boom. That was a good one. That was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
You know what? I've never stayed at the Contemporary. That's one of the few places.
Really?
Gallery wants to, though.
It's great for location. I won't say much more about the rooms than that, but it's great for location. So
I'm a huge monorail fan, so I think I would get it. Like, I'm a train fan, I'm a monorail fan, so I think I would really enjoy it. It's just that I want to stay in the tower. I don't want to stay Garden Wing, and like I can always like justify myself out of not staying there. Like, I could, Coronado, I can stay there for less, and it's got a better pool. To me, it's got a kind of a cooler pool. It's got really good dining. I just like Coronado a lot. If it's a race weekend, a value, just do a value. It's just like I always have like a reason why I don't stay there, but I want to.
We were gonna do a Garden Wing, and then they had that amazing discount, and so then it didn't make sense not to take advantage of it. But right. Anna had her 3-year-old birthday cake was like a train cake. Like, she loves trains, so that was also like helpful. Like, just like you, I was like, okay, and the monorail, like, she still talks about seeing the monorail. So it was fun, again, for like the one time that I can justify it. There's no way my super cheap husband will ever let me do that again. But
I get it. I mean, I'm the same way, because the hotel's fun, but I mean, 75% of the trip's the parks.
Right, exactly. So next time I would prefer to do like a longer family trip with all of us and not like spend all the money there. But hey, my mommy got away with it this time.
The experience. I mean, it's fun. You got to say you're there. That's cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I got to duck out. So thanks for taking the time. And this will be up on Sunday night late.
Cool. Awesome. Have a good one. We'll see you down there.
See you down there. Bye-bye. See you, everybody.